Your sheets, it says something about having public service here with a demo. They backed out on us, so you're stuck with me for the hour. It's going to be a lot of question and answer stuff, that type of stuff. It's primarily electrical based. We're trying to keep the man cave theme going with different things, but if there's anything else you want to talk about, anything at all with the association or anything, you know, we'll leave it open. We'll start out with some electrical stuff. The sheet that I passed out for you is just a copy of what Wade Elliott from Utility Supply sent out. I don't know, hopefully a lot of you are on his email list. He does this called Wizards of Watts. If you don't know Wade is, he owns Utility Supply. They're big, they're, of course, they have a booth here. They're always at Arvik. He's a member of the Arvik board on the distributor side. And he sits on the National Electrical Code Committee. And he's worked on a few things. This is one of the most recent things that came through. You can read through this sheet, but in general, what was coming through is there was a proposal to make everything in the electrical boxes, the pedestals for campers, have to be GFCI protected, as in not just your 20, your 50, your 20s, but your 30s and your 50s. So what that was going to mean is you were going to have to retro all of yours for GFI breakers or whatever it took to get that up to code. And it wasn't going to be a grandfather thing or anything else. You were going to have to do it. Now, through some work over the last couple of years, he got that basically put on hold for this session, which is 2020 to 2023. It's going to come back up again probably, and he lists that in here. So of course he's on the board. They got it put back to the way it's what everybody's used to, just having your 15 amps on GFI, but it probably will surface again. So it's just one thing. The reason I'm really bringing it up is just so you know, in case you haven't heard it, but it's another big advocate for why we have a national organization, why we have a state organization, the stuff that they're doing behind the scenes that really could end up costing you a lot of money or potentially saving you from spending a lot of money, you know, that you don't maybe not know about, and you wonder what your dues are going for, whatever. A lot of stuff like this is going on. A couple years ago, the same type of proposal came through that they were going to make you put 2 ground rods on every pedestal. You got that, you know, taken care of too. Some of you may have one on, some of you may have none, depending on what you're doing. It's going to be the same thing. You're going to have to do it to everything. So just think, 2 ground rods, whatever electrician fee, whatever you have to pay to get that done to every pedestal in your park. You got that taken care of, you know, having somebody on the board who can speak for you, who knows what's going on, what the reason is for having certain safety stuff, maybe not having certain safety stuff. You know, in the long run, you don't see the benefit, you know, maybe with the however X number of dollar dues you pay, but it's a big deal, real big deal, what the money that they've, you know, saved you over the time. And for really, you know, anything that goes on with the government, or whether it be local, state, federal, you know, everybody's always coming out with some sort of issue. They want to change something. In the end, it normally just ends up costing you money to change it or make, you know, come out, get compliant with the regulations, that type of thing. Some things safety-wise are needed. A lot of things are not, as you know. Dave?
How much money per pedestal did this decision save us?
Well, this decision, I mean, I guess it depends what you have in your pedestals. You know, obviously everybody's different, but if you got a 50 and a 30, I mean, those type of GFI breakers, you know, are going to cost you, because you're going to have to do a breaker. They're not going to have, not like a 20 amp outlet where it's built in or whatever. I'm assuming, depending on where you get them, now you may be able to buy bulk, you know, and wholesale or whatever, but I think at Menards or anything, you're what, $75, $100 for a
$100 for a 30.
For one breaker. So you have 2 per pedestal probably at least. And
I thought Wade said the 50 amp GFI would have been like $300.
well, that's the thing. I'm sure that those would be more, but of course, if it was passed, I'm sure there'd be people putting them out there and the price would come down and whatever else type of thing, because I don't know how much. But I got to think of, but let's just say, you know, and if you're going to be able to do them yourself or what, you know, type of thing, and are you going to pay somebody to do it, all that type of stuff, you know. So let's say a couple $100 even per ped, you know, per 60,000 sites in the state of Wisconsin or whatever, in Waco, not in Wisconsin, just, type of thing. So it's big, and it would have been nationwide, obviously. So big time thing. The ground rod's the same thing. What with they're a little more labor probably even with that to put them in. And do you have the space to get the space, depending on where your peds are set and trees and whatever else, and how much hassle that would have been, plus just the material cost. So yeah, big time dollars, yes sir.
So even if, it's passed on the National Electrical Code, that doesn't mean that Wisconsin has to adopt it.
Well, it doesn't, but good luck.
Because I was talking to somebody
That's most of that stuff.
Electricians up
Yeah.
over there by Oshkosh area, I forget what that's called, Tri-Lakes or I don't know, I'm not from Wisconsin, I'm still learning, but he said that Wisconsin would not be adopting that.
Yeah, well,
But
would they or wouldn't they? It's just like anything else that comes federal level, how much pressure is put on, that type of stuff, and then you get it out there in the marketplace, you get it out there to the public, and you start screaming safety and whatever else, and then who knows what happens from that. I don't have anything against any group or whatever and all that, but to think that state electrical whatever group of electricians or whatever is gonna fight very hard for something that they're probably gonna have to make money on having to install or upgrade or whatever is not not that they may be against it, but how hard are they gonna fight against it, or whatever, type of thing. Same with plumbing or anything else. So a lot of that stuff comes from, they'll say whether it's electrical, plumbing, anything, a lot of these ideas come from trade people, mention it to a inspector or mention, or whatever, roundabout way. A lot of times they'll say there isn't, but it's just like anything else, the idea comes from somewhere. It's not always somebody that in a think tank, because they that doesn't know much about it, because they just don't know enough about it to come up with that idea. It's got to be somebody in the know. So whether or not that's true, could be, but I certainly would like the idea that it was head off and not even proposed, or came down, instead of one of these things that's, here it is, you figure it out,
The other
type
problem
of
you
thing.
have with this particular piece of code is that they're not sure it would even work. Because, GFIs, as you know, are very sensitive. And when you try to put an entire camper, a 50 amp camper on a GFCI, there's a very good chance, I'm not sure anybody's ever tested it. And there's a very good chance that just the inductive loads of like the air conditioners and that sort of thing would be enough to trip it. And that could just be a nightmare if you constantly have nuisance tripping on your GFCI breakers for entire campers. So, and I'm assuming that's part of, it sounds like that's part of the Wade is using to argue is, we don't have data that this is possible. And hopefully we can keep fighting it off each time it comes up.
You'd have to test on for a certain period of time. So,
Right.
nuisance trips. Now, have you guys ever heard of many electrocutions with people plugging into campers or anything?
I've never heard of one, yeah.
You haven't heard of it? I mean,
No.
so it's a solution in search of a problem?
Right, probably.
Could be, you say with that, well, one thing, the breaker should be off when they're plugging it in, and then it should be, then flip it out, but you just never know how people obviously do things. Where it came from, I don't know exactly, but.
That's what I'm wondering. I haven't heard of it personally, but all I know is my own little world. I don't know if you guys are on the board have heard of many electrocutions happening.
No, and we're in the industry, I would think as a whole, you just panel this whole group here, and everybody would say no, don't know of any, so. But it takes one, Virginia Graham Baker Act or whatever with the pools and everything else, it takes one and all of a sudden there's all kinds of ideas. Yeah, type thing. So that's, we can stay on electrical subject if anybody has any questions, more like a Cracker Barrel type thing or ideas or anything that they would like to know. Rick?
Does anybody have solar panels?
Yes,
And would you say this is worth your aggravation?
we just purchased it and actually one of the inverters is out. What I wanted to have a question is I know that the meter, when it's sunny, it will go backwards. The numbers will decline. But I don't know if it doesn't show anything on our bill statement of like how many kilowatts that I save, like no credit is on there of like, you know, how much my solar panels produce. So I don't know if anyone else has panels or
You would
they have an app.
you'd have to have a meter on your side to know that, because electricity doesn't know which way it goes, and the meter goes back and forth. And that-
Well, it is a special meter. It does go to the campground.
Right,
And, you know, when it's sunny, that meter's going backwards.
right.
But I don't get a printout of like how many kilowatts, of credit that I got.
Yeah, you'd have to have a meter on your side, so when it runs
Oh.
through the meter, so when it runs through that meter, while it's producing that, it's keeping recording on that.
It doesn't go to an app. You should have, if the guy set it up, depending on, I'm guessing it was professionally set up,
Yeah.
it should go to an app on your phone. I installed
This
it
is-
on my
well, we
neighbor's
just
and he has
purchased
it.
And, it's been installed, I think, 10 years now.
Okay,
10
it
years
might be
ago.
later than that, cause I have one on my cabin and it actually has an app. You can Google it and it'll tell you physically what it's
it's
drawing,
producing.
yeah, what it's producing. And even like on a cloudy night, you can see that it's doing nothing, physically nothing.
Yeah.
On a moonlit night, the moon is actually producing light on it, but they should have an app. I think if you call your
That-
guy, it
That
goes
must be
right to your
something that
phone.
on the system itself
It's
that
on,
you,
yep,
that
it's
they
on-
have
there's
it.
a big-
Where he has, I'm assuming the electrical company's meter or whatever, and it's just, you see that's going backwards and forth, so unless they have something, a special type of meter that can somehow differentiate between that, I guess that was the only way they know. They're just going by, well, it's running backwards, so it's taking out, you know, you're getting credit, you know, now you're paid, now you're getting
Right.
credit, but,
Yeah.
yeah, he's talking probably something on the system itself that would be able to tell you.
Yeah, there's I don't even know, it's not a clamp, but something going over the main wire saying how much, because all the panels are hooked into one, and then it's metering it right off of right before it actually gets to your
So
main
it's
stuff.
something that just clamps on and
Mine
it
looks-
picks up.
Yeah, just like on your regular,
CT cabinet.
Yeah,
Magnet.
or something.
fluke yeah, mine has a band that's going over the side, the wire, metering that wire, how much and it sends it to an app.
So it's almost like your amp, like an amp clamp for,
Right.
you know, when you're checking
You're just going over that's all mine
draws.
has.
How many square feet do you have for solar panels?
Covers the side of the barn, so, oh gosh, I don't know, there's probably 40 panels out there. 40,
20 by 50, 20 by.
they're 10 by, if there are 40 panels, the barn is 40 feet long. I don't know, it's gotta be 20 by 40, probably.
Area, total area?
Yeah,
So, okay.
yeah. And then there's a few below that, there's a big section up above and a few below it.
So 1,000 square feet roughly?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Because I have a huge pavilion that I put up that easily covers 6,000 square feet. That's out in the sun all the time.
Anybody else have anything on solar? Any other electrical?
Does anybody
Johnny.
solar a certain site, and it's one site at a time? Does anybody have any seasonal to put solar up?
Or a cabin or something like that where it's just running that? I mean, I'm assuming nobody has it where that's all, their only electrical source.
They can't produce enough.
Yeah. So, no, okay. Anybody else? Any other electrical stuff?
Anybody upgrading or putting in new sites and actually putting these GFCIs in?
On the largers, yeah, no, not that I know of. I mean, it's gonna come, I'm saying it's gonna come up just because that's what Wade's saying. It's not like a permanent, you know, thing, and anything can change in the code from year to year. So you're good for 3 years, like you said, and it's gonna come up, and that's why it's great to have somebody on the board that can head this off at the pass or whatever. But I don't know anybody that would. I don't know why anybody would. I mean, that's pretty pricey for just on a something that might happen.
I have to
Yeah.
upgrade, I have to upgrade all mine.
Right.
It takes me off.
But still, I think the direct cost, but just putting in a breaker, you know, whether you have to do it afterwards or buy new with it in, the cost is probably going to be fairly close, you know, especially if it does come out in 3 years where it is a rule. I'm assuming the cost may come down because there's going to be multiple companies getting into it and that type of thing, and there's going to be a lot to be sold.
Probably have a tough time finding it with GFI.
Yeah, I would think you'd they'd be pretty limited on what's available, so same thing, supply and demand, the cost is probably be higher now to do it than in the future. And when they do it, I'm assuming, you know, who knows how much time you're gonna have to do it, and that would give a time frame for the costs to come down for manufacturers next, they know this is all coming.
It's hard to know when Wisconsin
Yeah.
will be adopted anyways, they're still on
Right.
17 code.
Yeah.
They never adopted, they went from 11 to 17, so.
Yeah, and like I said, who knows, in 23, they might just take her all, and yeah,
Talking about taking the 20 yet.
yeah.
Well, if it were done now, would it just be a matter of pulling the breaker and putting in the GFCI breaker
It would,
Yeah.
there's a couple more connections here,
in a couple,
a neutral connection.
but the actual layout of the box.
Space,
doesn't
yeah, it'd all
have to
be- yeah,
change
right.
For that breaker, right?
Yeah,
It's just the expense of the breaker. It's the
Yeah.
expense of the breaker,
So
and the guy that puts it in.
existing ones would be compatible with it in there.
yeah,
Yeah, today a 30 amp breaker is probably $12 and a GFI is between $100 and $112.
Right.
So there's your spread difference.
yeah,
Well, until they're forced down your throat, why would you take that? That's a 30. I don't know if I've ever seen a
A 50, yeah.
60 I've seen because of the
hot tubs, yeah, which I'm assuming it'll
Or
be,
$135 for the box.
Yeah.
You know, if you're buying them that way and stripping them out of that to put them in your panels if they match,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
yeah, I'm sure, like I said, if it happened, there'd be a lot of options, you know, come to light there, and I'm assuming, you know, wouldn't, like I said, be overnight either type of thing, so who knows what they come up. Anything else? Yes, sir.
So we just purchased our campground and there's only 15 seasonal sites. And there's only one of ours that actually has a meter on it. And how do you legally, or how do you phrase, you know, reselling electricity?
Well, you don't,
I know.
yeah, don't do that.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
So you charge them like so much
Actual. Actual.
actual?
Yeah.
You don't mark it up, and that's still illegal,
Yeah, I-
but nobody says anything.
Wait,
You don't mark it up. You
Right.
charge them what's actually from the meter.
Right.
And that's still illegal, because you actually don't have a license to sell electricity,
right,
but nobody says anything.
right, okay.
You're
So,
not
From
selling-
Bud,
you're
that's
not-
what Bud told me.
You're not selling
Yeah.
it. You're
Yes.
getting reimbursed.
right,
Yeah.
okay, so that's, the legal terminology is just
Right.
reimbursed. So
But you
then,
can charge a reading fee.
Yes.
Read that.
Service
Yeah.
fee.
okay, so you can go on the internet and buy meters, right? Put them in yourself. So. you can-
Retro, or if you're, yeah, get retro to the boxes you have, or buy all new pedestals, or whatever you wanna do, yeah.
Go see Wade at Utility Supply. They're reasonable, all the hardware's there, they'll match your boxes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep,
Then I'm thinking that's what everybody does, right?
pretty much, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Dave.
You don't charge sales.
How much they charge per kilowatt, and then you have to do all the figures for that, and then your service fee, and there you have it, everything.
So when you bill them, you bill your customer for the electricity, you charge the same kilowatt hour that you get charged. You need to charge sales tax on that. And at the Wakewood Convention a couple of years ago, the Department of Revenue was here and explained how to recoup. Because you're paying sales tax on the electricity when you pay your electric bill. And now you're charging the customer sales tax again for the reimbursement. So you're actually double paying your sales tax. Okay? So the Department of Revenue gave us instructions a couple of years ago at a Waco meeting on how to recoup that. You just deduct the amount you charge the customer when you go report your sales tax. Okay, so that you can recoup that money that you.
And that's legal?
Yeah, that's what they explained.
Okay.
So as long as you're not making money on it, that's the bottom line, other than your reading charge, that's something you're making money on. It's all defensible, you can also charge off
the facility charge and the this upcharge and that upcharge. It just has to be, like if all your seasonals are on one, and you have 10 seasonal, they get 1/10 of all those charges. So basically, if you're not pulling anything out of there, you should be net neutral, plus your site reading fee, whatever you charge.
But if you have overnight sites on that same meter and some seasonals on the same meter, you can't divide it up like that.
You have to do the math, but as long as you can defend the math and you're not making any money on that part of it, you're fine.
And on the same token about the meters, so by having the meters on your system, we had a 40-footer come in last year, and we know daily what the uses are because of the meters. So this guy pulls in, and he's using about 10 times normal. So I said, hey, you know, what are you using? Nothing. So he gets back to Phoenix, and he sends us a letter. He goes, the guys at the coach place says, lucky you caught it, it would have burnt the coach to the ground. The contacts were welded shut, and it was running a hot water heater 24/7, and it was only a matter of time before it burnt that coach to the ground. So by having that, it gives you another, hey, to let somebody know you got a problem that you would never know,
Right.
because he's not paying the bill. So,
Similar thing with like old refrigerators, right? You got a person that says, I use the exact same power as my neighbor. Why is my bill $65 and hers is 14? And then you go around, you start unplugging things, you can watch it change.
Yeah.
And then that way, well, there's your problem, it's your 30-year-old refrigerator you're running outside.
Sure.
and I'm sure everybody had wide spreads. I mean, we do it twice a year, we bill, and we might have some that are $27 and some that are $700.
Right.
And that's not fair to all your other seasons to be paying their bad habits.
Yeah.
So is it true on these meters that generally when, I guess they're going bad, that they 99.99% would run slower instead of faster?
Pretty common.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, they don't run at all.
They don't.
Right, and I have customers tell me, oh no, they're running faster, that's why my bill's higher. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I just,
Then you pull a meter, put a new one in and start over again.
right,
Put that one back in the box.
that's basically it.
Yeah.
The way that we handle that, when it comes up, because I mean, I agree, I don't think they ever run fast, theoretically they say they can, although I hear from the electric guys that the digital ones are less likely to run fast, or can't, I don't know if can't is ever a real thing, like it can't, but I think that that's not a thing with the digital ones, but the way that we handle that in our part is, because there's always an old fridge, or a bad converter, or something, or a battery that's shorting out, you know, and cooking all the time. There is a reason. So what we do is, when they question the bill, we go back, and usually by the time they get the bill and question it, it's been a couple weeks since we read it, right? You know, we do it twice a year too, just like Hussein. And so when we go back, we look at, well, here's how much you've burned through in the last 2 weeks, you know, or we'll watch it for 2 days, and we'll calculate, oh, you just burned through X amount of dollars in 48 hours, and then you multiply that by, you know, your month, and so here's how much it's sucking. And as soon as every time I've done that with people where they can like see it happening, they usually back off. And then, you know, if you take the time to go with them, just like somebody said a minute ago, start unplugging things and see when that meter
Right.
Mm-hmm.
slows down, and they figure out it's their old fridge or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's worked out really good for us, and then we've had no complaints.
Yeah, and of course they tend to forget that, yeah, well, we were gone for 3 weeks and we left the air on, you know, or
Right.
they forget that's not part of their conversation anymore. It's just right when the dollar
right.
amount, they
Yeah.
compare it to their
Oh,
neighbors.
I know that.
It's almost always a malfunctioning appliance when we have those.
Yeah.
We legitimately have a higher bill than they expected, and it's because something's not.
So,
working.
right,
Yeah.
I have a freezer in a shed that,
Yeah.
when it's 110 degrees out for 4 months.
right.
And you know, there's no way of telling anybody without having that. I mean, that's a win-win for everybody.
Sure. Another subject, water in general, talking drinking water, your wells and that type of things. Anybody here in central Wisconsin or had any contacts with the DNR on their nitrates? Anybody placarding for nitrates right now or higher nitrates or?
I'm actually talking with the DNR right now about that.
Yeah,
We just purchased a campground last Monday. Our nitrates are a little high, they're like 14.
yeah.
The DNR is saying that they're gonna implement that,
Mhm.
but they're not sure when.
Yeah. I've had a few meetings with it. I've been doing it for years, I guess, working with them on it. At my park, I'm just 15 miles south of here, so we're prime potato country, Central Sands area. It's a big problem in this area, but we had a conference call with the DNR a couple weeks ago with Lori, Bud, and myself on this subject, and it's coming. It used to be years ago, long time ago, it used to be about 50, the regulations were 50 parts per million. Then they dropped it down to basically 10. Anything under 10, it was no problem. They considered that safe. 10 to 20, which is what you're in now, in the 14 range, they would have you plaque card. And basically it's unsafe for infants and pregnant women and infants under 6 months old, that type of thing. They found that nitrates cause blue baby syndrome, that other type of stuff. And it was the amounts that you have to drink, of course, that is quite high, and normally in a campground situation, it would never affect anybody anyway. But you still had the plaque card. Well, now the EPA is coming down with new studies. Now they no longer want you to be able to just plaque card. They want it below 10, otherwise you have to change something, as in treatment or that type of thing.
Drill another well.
Drill wells.
See if that works. If that doesn't work, then we'll go try something else. If that
Right.
doesn't work,
They don't have the answers, and that was my biggest thing with them. Like I said, I've been dealing with them for a couple of years, and I am actually drilling. I drilled a new well last year. I'll drill 2 more this year because I have 3 on my park. And the one that we did drill, most of the stuff in this area, the water table is fairly high in this. It's 8-10 feet to water in central Wisconsin, in our most areas. So our wells are only down 50-60 feet. And by going down to about 120, which in my area, exact location, gets you just above the bedrock layer so you can get good water. And it did drop them down. I'm down on that well's down to like 3. So I'm hoping that my next 2 wells will do the same thing. But they don't have an idea, of what they're going to do in the meantime. On the conference call, they're saying they're looking at probably 2 to 3 years of leeway for you to figure out something, whether it be drilled in wells, try this, whatever. Treatment, obviously, to treat your whole park that's not viable. You're bankrupt. There's just no way that you're going to treat that much water without reverse osmosis or anything to get rid of the nitrates. So is it going to be okay for you to just have one outlet in your main building that's treated and people can come there to get drinking water or whatever? Well, they don't know. They don't know. But if there really is no, what are you gonna, either that or you're gonna bring in a tanker of water, for people to go out of or whatever, because it's just not feasible and there's really no way to separate it. You're not gonna put all new water lines through your whole park that's just drinking water, type of thing. So they don't have the answers, and they admitted that in the conference call. Like I said, this is something where they're trying to get ahead of it, but who knows what's going to happen. But if you have any other issues with water, obviously there's, arsenic or whatever type stuff, it can cause problems, and maybe not, you don't think it's a problem, but when it comes time for you to sell or that type of thing, then what do you do? Leland, if any of you remember Leland, sold a couple years ago up north, and he had arsenic in his, and it basically put an end to his sale, or a hold on his sale, until they could figure it out. Well, it ended up costing them about 50-some grand to get that, to be able to treat it and get that problem taken care of. So, but it, put his sale on hold for how long too, and can be very scary, type of thing. So there's a lot going on, obviously, with water. I, talked to a lot of people about it. The DNR wants to, I'm not here to badmouth DNR, but water is kind of their golden child in Wisconsin. They want to control all of it. They want the ponds, they want the lakes, they want underground water, above, basically any type of water in Wisconsin is controlled now, or they're overseeing it. But how to fix the problem, is where you run into problems. And of course, when I talked to people even a couple years ago, yeah, they want this done, that done. I said, yeah, but you guys don't have to pay for it. You want me to pay for it all. You just say it's got to be done, and what are the options to fix it? And they don't have any. Just, well, you can try this, try it. Well, that type of thing. The scary part, when you get in with anything, you get into bureaucratic messes, they want me to fix it, we've had meetings on it, you know, we're gonna do this is what we're gonna do. So now you send in for a well permit, which in this area of Wisconsin is hard because of high capacity stuff around irrigation and all that. Now you sit and wait for a year and they won't get your permit back to you. I'm like, you guys want me to put in new wells, and I send an application to you, I can't get any response to it, so here I sit, you know. So on one hand, they want, one part of the agency wants you to do this, the other hand is doing this. I'm like, they gotta figure all that stuff out, and that's true with anything, but it sounds like, as far as nitrates, they say there's about 20, the reason they wanted the meeting with us to try and head this off for our members. Now, there's about 20 members, I think, in Waco that they've got, are gonna have this issue right now. Obviously, I'm one of them, you're another one, you know, and that's it, with the nitrates. So they're trying to come up with a game plan, you know, going forward on that. But they're looking at 2 to 3 years before they make you, you know, do anything. And that's, you know, more research and what could be done and what are the options type of thing.
Scott, are you testing your own water, or you have your health department?
Well, now that I'm on this, my health department always did, which Portage County here we're in is the county does it, you know, for the state, they represent the state. But now that we've gotten into this point of the last couple of years, they come out and test it like every month and see how it is more, where it used to be just once a year at the beginning of the year or whatever type of thing with our normal testing.
Is the health department testing for the nitrates, or does the DNR actually come?
The health department is, and then they send it in. They're all
okay.
tied together. You know, they send the results to them, and they're monitoring it. And so I get stuff back from the health department, stuff back from the DNR. You know, what's going on here, what's going on there, type of thing.
Is anybody testing their own water?
I do prior to the county coming, because the county needed to be trained how to do it properly. So before they come out, I have it done, cost me about $35. So if I got a problem, I go and refluorinate if I would have a problem. And if not, then I let them come, and if they get a negative, then we're back at training them how to do it properly.
I believe the county, for me, they send me stuff, you have to do it, send it back in.
Yeah, they used to be, but we're not allowed to do that anymore. They come out.
Yeah.
What is the proper way?
At the well.
Right, okay, so as close to the wellhead as possible, and then heat
No,
it
it's
up.
a wellhead, there's a faucet that has no
That's all
threads.
I
That's
do,
the only
and
place that
we've
should
knocked
be
out
done.
that additional threads.
Right.
No threads.
And it's,
No threads. That's a mistake. There should be no threads.
That's very,
From the wrong area.
I don't know, that seems
From the
odd
wellhead.
that you could get away with that. That you can send your own samples in, you know, or whatever type of thing. That they wouldn't want to do that or have somebody do that, you know.
We've had a campground now, so it's 7th year.
Right.
Every year we've done it. They send me a bottle, I fill up the bottles, and instructions, and stuff like that.
Right.
In fact, I do my own well inspections as far as the filter and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I send that card in there. There is somebody from the city that comes through, out of the house, just look for the wells to make sure it is good.
Right.
And that's about it, but,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the whole well thing, as far as the inspection of the well and, you know, the cap and everything like that, I don't know how much they're pushing that in other parts of the state, but here they, you know, when that came out the last couple of years,
Yeah.
they really pushed it. They write down, you gotta send that checklist in and everything, and it's gotta, you know, show that you've inspected everything
but as far as
before you start it up. To let you take your own samples is, you know, that's great,
Yeah, they're letting
I
us do
guess, you know,
I sent it to the state.
obviously, if something comes back bad, the first thing's gonna be a retest, and I'm sure it's gonna be done by somebody else, you know, or whatever, eventually.
Well, I'm not
Anyway,
arguing, I'm
so,
just hearing everybody else saying somebody else is doing it. They're
Yeah.
letting me do it.
yeah,
I said Monday like yours.
Pardon me?
Might get sent in the same way.
you take the sample and,
Take a sample, fill it
Yeah.
up, send it to them. A lot of times we deliver to them next door.
yeah.
You send yours directly to the state?
The county comes and takes it, and they send it, yeah, the county's a state representative, so I'm inspected by the county sanitarian and all that for.
You have an option to send it to a state certified lab.
Well,
or
yeah.
the state.
Yeah, the county actually doesn't do the test themselves, they send it out.
They use a private
Yeah.
state certified.
Right. And like I said, if anything comes back, they're gonna send it, you know, so now they're checking it every month and whatever, you know, to monitor and see what it's going. And in my case, you know, it's not like I'm trying to hide anything. I know that we know that there's an issue with nitrates in this area. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Separate sample in?
I haven't myself, no.
Should try that.
But it's been, you know, done by,
Private one compared to the state or the county.
yeah, yeah.
Might get different.
Well, like I said, I know there's an issue, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah. There's a, you know, a lot of businesses around are dealing, you know, the bars, everybody's dealing with that type of thing, restaurants and stuff. So it's just that if there's an issue, you'd like to know what the end game is as far as solving it and how much money it's going to take and that type of thing.
What's the cost of drilling a new well?
About, by me, about $8,000 to get it, yeah. For a, you know, for a 6-inch. Now, the one good part about putting it, I put them right back in the same spot and just go deeper so I can still use my controllers because all mine's, you know, it's all 3-phase, you know, stuff, and so you can reuse that. So it's really just the casing and the pump, yeah. So that helps with the whole situation if you know got room to do it right there in the same spot or close enough anyway or whatever. So. That would vary, of course, where you're at and what you're going through. We're in sand country here. That's why there's a problem with the nitrates. It also makes it easy to drill a well. You know, half the I would say half within a 25-mile radius of Stevens Point here, out in the country anyway, probably half of the homes have sand points. I would assume, you know, of the older homes, anything probably 15 years or newer has probably got a drilled well, but in general, the sand points in the basement or whatever was how a lot of people do it. And they're only down 20, 25 feet type of thing. So anything else on water or water systems or wells or septic? How about septic? Anybody got any good septic stories or questions? Or take the water out, you got to put it back, right?
If you don't have any campers that are dependent on a dump station, are you still required by the state to have one?
No, you don't have to have a dump station on site. Even you can have, you gotta have information where they can go down the road to the county park or whatever, that type of thing.
All the sites have full hookups, sewer hookups at each site. Do I still have to have one there, or?
As far as I know, no, because it's all dependent on what you consider dependent or independent type
If I were to
setup.
add
So
more sites that were dependent on a dump station, I'd have to add it.
then you'd probably have to have, or have access to one. And they're not gonna, you know, I don't know that they've ever put a mileage thing or something to where this site can be type of thing either. But you don't have to have a dump station at all on your campground, actually, if you don't want to.
We had a new system put in our campground last year. The other one failed due to some other issues. So we backed our camper up over a tank and collapsed it. But long and short of the whole thing, there's a new system in there. And I got a 2,500 gallon surge tank. I do a lot of pumping in our black tanks to our campground. I pump it into my honey wagon, and then I dump into that. The 2,500 gallon surge tank is nice because I got a 3-inch line. I just throw the valve, and I can have my trailer emptied in about 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. And with the surge tank, it's actually times it, and every certain amount of hours it pumps into the drain field and goes from there. So, I mean, if you get anybody put in the system, I would definitely look at the surge tank for that role. Because it increases our capacity.
Sure, and can meter it in during the week when you're not, there's not so much stuff. Yeah.
When there's less usage.
There's really plenty of options out there for that type of stuff. A lot of stuff out. It's just one is cost for a lot of people, but in some instances you just don't have a choice. But there's definitely ways to make it work.
Dosing is definitely the way that the longevity of systems by calculating how much goes where.
Mm-hmm.
When we bought the park from all of aunts and uncles years ago, first thing they did was the county came in, I had put in a new system. So I had a state-of-the-art system, and I know every drop that goes into that system. And I do my calculations, so if I needed to do expansions that I would never be able to do prior because I have those dosing and all those calculations from 19 years now since that system's been there. Last year I did calculations for a different area, and I was down to 3 gallons a day for the whole system based on time, because it's dosed, you know, it's still only a 250 gallon a day system. It's a small system, but because of the dosing, it goes into the tank and it doses out, fills up during the weekend, and it doses out in a timely manner. It's the best of both worlds. Small footprint,
What's it dosing on?
the fluid, and you use standard pumps in the dosing, so you, basically it's just a sump pump, so you don't have these high dollar pumps. If they fail you, it's a $200-300 pump instead of a $1,500, because it's a small area. You're only pumping water. You're not pumping heavies. You're not
Right.
grinding sewage. All that stuff that stays in the tank with the filters. It's definitely well worth the money to put it into the hardware when you're putting it in the ground.
Yeah, it save you money in the long run.
It
You
was
may
a
be
lot
able
of money
to,
up
you may
front,
be able
but-
to design a smaller system,
Right.
the actual system part of it, the actual drain fields or
Yeah.
whatever you know, if you
Just lift
could
it to
dose
it.
it over time instead of, you know, because they're only going to rate it for so much per day or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it may actually, you know, save you. There's a little bit extra cost. You got pumps or whatever, but it may actually save you on the size of the system, or especially if you don't have the space
Right.
for it. Save you that way, so you may come out as a wash or even maybe money ahead,
Yeah,
depending
this
on.
is only 12-foot by 16-foot drain field area, so and they can put them over there or over there.
Right.
You know, so you put your hardware at the low point, and then you can add to it later by just adding and by University of Wisconsin did testing. Years ago, it was 2 years of resting. It basically brought the system back up to 98% of its efficiency by
Right.
not using that lateral run of your system. Now they say it's 3 years and it's 100%. So by having a field over there, you use that, and then you give it rest and you
Right,
keep
you may
your
dose 2 different fields or whatever, especially if they're smaller, you may be able to put one here and there and switch back and forth between them, that type of thing, depending on your elevation, whatever, you get to make it work. And it is a little easier when you're pumping versus coming out of your, you know, as far as depth and that, you know, for
Right.
frost and that type of thing. They don't really care too much about the once it makes it to the tank and it's being pumped out to the system, they just design it to drain back, you know,
Yeah.
whatever's in the line type of thing, so you don't have to get your depths down as low for frost control and that type of stuff compared to the line coming out of the building, you know, going to the tank initially. All
Probably
that
the-
stuff can play into helping you out.
Probably the biggest thing that we're not realizing is washing machines is what's making your systems fail. Anything that has a high efficiency grinds the lints and the fines. So if you're not filtering your washing machine going into your septic system, you are failing your septic system, because those particles stay floating in the system, and they will go through your filter because the particles are smaller than the 16th inch or the 8th inch opening that are in your hard filters that are in your system.
So how do you filter that? Is that-
They make filters at the washing machines, that your washing machine goes through the filter. You put it through, if it's your own personal, we don't allow washing machines used out in the resort. We've done testing at home because we wanted to know, so just in a month of our own personal stuff, that water glass would be full of heavies that water won't go through. That's just our personal laundry. Now do that times your whole park, and these guys are using this stuff and it's not good. It's a real problem. Doesn't break down, it becomes a biomass. Sweats, oils, fats, mixed in with linen, and that's that's a serious problem for this industry over time, because that's our blood and sweat is your septic systems. When they fail, you ain't got nothing. You're back to touching it, pumping it.
Yeah, filters on the system is a good recommendation, actually, especially if you've got an older system.
Yeah.
You can retro install the filters, you know, on the outlet or whatever, and at least something, you know, and it definitely helps the system. That's one of the big things.
How do you control the people bringing in newer rigs? You tell them not to use their washer? I mean,
That's what you do, you tell them, you explain to them, you know, it's hard on the system, these systems were never designed for those kind of water volumes, you know, it's just, if you're on a holding tank and you're pumping it, and it's gonna go process another way, but our systems are natural systems, you know, so when they dump, they go directly to the tank.
Inline washing machine filters, $50 to $120. Probably well worth it.
Online, that is,
Yep.
just a wash machine inline filter.
Yeah, I just literally Googled washing machine filter and like 16 things popped up. So.
Yep.
Is that like a 1.5 or 2-inch PVC hookup, what?
No, it's just in line for your water line, just
Yep.
before it goes out of your machine. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Rick, you won the 50 tickets that Mike got earlier today.
That was a different
Oh.
seminar.
No, he's gonna give you the 50 tickets.
Take the heat off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just hooks up on the exit of the wash machine.
Yeah.
I gotta get one of those.
It's a good idea.
Anybody else got anything, water or sewer, maintenance, association?
Those handy wipes, we got a good solution for people who are dumping their handy wipes down there. Sort of.
There are no flushable wipes.
We have signs everywhere, and all the toilet stalls, all the bathrooms.
Does it actually work? But so that's good.
There are signs that tell you cannot put this kind of things you can't put down.
Make sure you got baskets in the bathroom next to them to put them there, because if there isn't, they're going in the toilet. And if they are going in your system and you don't have a filter, they're getting to your drain field. Keep them in the tank, and hopefully they make it to the tank.
Yeah. That's probably one of the best ideas, just make sure you got someplace for them to put them, otherwise, you know, whether it's
You don't have them there.
in the stalls or
Diapers,
whatever,
you
having
would
something, if
believe.
you don't have a basket there, it's going in the toilet or whatever type of thing, so.
I think we did talk about that last year, about like porta potties is the worst spot, because you'll get pens, diapers, the whole nine.
Right.
So there's those thank you bag holders that you can attach to the inside of your porta potties, and then just leave a stack of thank you bags in there so that they use those. It's actually helped us out tremendously. I had a really good guy that was gonna quit 2 years ago, because he was like, I'm done pulling the pens out of the friggin' hose. So that works out really well.
But at least there you see them and you can do something about
You
it,
catch
where,
it,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they get bagged.
Anything else? Anybody, I know everybody, I'm gonna give you open, I know everybody doesn't make it to the annual meeting on Saturday morning, so if you got any association questions, I'll do my best to answer, you know, any questions on anything else.
I believe they make a self-purging, self-cleaning filter that you can put on your wash machine too.
Okay.
You plug it in, and it back flushes itself. So it keeps it clean all the time. You can check into that.
Otherwise, it's just an annual, is that thing?
Well, you have to be checking it every week.
If it's commercial, if
Probably
it's a
once a month,
commercial,
it's just got a track.
yeah,
It
if
depends on
it's a
usage.
filter, you open it up, take the filter bag out, put another filter bag in, and
Yeah.
closing it. You just gotta keep the stuff out of the system.
I've got a couple self-cleaning ones where it actually goes to its own back flushing system.
Okay?
And it cleans it out itself, so you don't have to be there changing all the time.
Has anybody tried just a sock? I've heard of that.
That's what we do at home. That's how I know what I have, because I read an article in the Pumper magazine. I'm like, wow, let's try this. I couldn't believe what a high efficiency washing machine put in the septic system. And after doing that for a month, I said, oh my God, this is.
It's just
this-
the high efficiency or the old school style?
No, even that too.
Oh,
There's
okay.
still stuff going, but the high efficiency is so fine until you put it through something of that, it packs. It's crazy. Yeah, you put a nylon on there on a high efficiency after a month, you'll make just your own personal stuff, not the business end, to make your head spin. Then think about how much of that's going into your system
Yeah.
when you got 30, 40 machines.
Yeah, and you know everybody brings their worst shit to your place to have it clean, you know,
Yeah.
to doing your washers
Yeah.
instead of doing it at home. Like all your seasonals bring all their stuff from home.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dog beds and whatever else stuff, so. Anything else, anybody? I know it's getting close to lunch, so we're probably worried about that, but otherwise, thanks for coming, and have a good convention.